Now, one of what the exercise seeks to do is to stimulate healthy peer competition among chief directors, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how does the chief director of one ministry and the chief director of another ministry, their work, how are you going to compare their works and, as a matter of fact, steer competition among them? Because they'll be doing different functions.
Exactly, but like I said, these are targets that are measurable. So if you set yourself a target and you could not achieve what you have set your own self, then your other colleagues will be doing much better, and it could lead to reduction of salary and so other undesirable things. And that is where that healthy peer competition comes in, because everyone is now focused on delivering and being more efficient than before. Yeah.
And talking about the transparency of it,
yeah,
is it going to be made public? When you say transparency, what actually are we talking about?
When we are talking about transparency, formally, performance in a public service was based on, or was being measured on, behavioral traits instead of work output. So you realize that behavioral traits are not measurable. So it gave problems, and the credibility and transparency of it was not forthcoming. But now it is based on work output. So these are measurable things that you can measure. So if you say you do this and you are able to do it, it can be easily measured, but not with behavior traits and things like that. Yeah.
All right. But some have also said most of these chief directors are not even given targets. So in that case, how do you assess them? You're assessing them based on what?
Well, yes, this is what I'm saying, that they themselves set their own targets. So it's not anybody that is setting targets for them. They have set their own targets, and they are being measured by those targets that they set for themselves.
Won't that then bring some kind of biasness?
No, there's no bias about it.
Because I'll set very easy targets for myself, and then another person will also set very easy targets, another person difficult targets. So if I'm to set my own targets, how strong would that be?
There are guidelines. That's why I took you through the schedules, and there are guidelines. So schedule 1, like I said, institution-specific outputs and deliverables. Schedule 2, general operations and administrative deliverables, and then Schedule 3, chief director's personal capacity development plan. So there are the guidelines within which you set your own targets. So it's not just let loose for you to do anything that you want to do.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Ebenezer Uso-Ansah, who is the PRO Office of the Head of the Civil Service. So let me go to my guest in the studio, Eric Oduro-Osai, who is a local government expert. Good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us. Yeah. We just heard the PRO running us through the exercise that is going on for chief directors of the various ministries, and the idea is to appraise them so that it makes them accountable and feasible.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your viewers. In my view, I think it's a very good innovation. It's something that we should continue as a nation. It is long overdue. What I would have wished that should have happened before this is the fact that the indicators and the thematic areas on which they were going to appraise them should have been made available to the public and the media long before they start this particular process, so that when they come to do the evaluation and appraisal proper, we would also use our independent eye to see whether they've been very fair and objective to the people or not. That notwithstanding, I'll give them thumbs up. It's a good thing. They should continue. He himself mentioned that they should have done a midterm evaluation, and they didn't do. It's an administrative flaw, and it's something that they should never allow to happen again. Because if they have done the midterm review in the course of the year, they would have identified various lapses which would have been ironed out or improved by these chief directors even before they do the end of year review. But they couldn't do it, and they've allowed certain excesses to continue up to the end of the year. Going forward, they should try to improve the system in such a way that next year or this year they try to do the midterm review. The next bit also had to do with the rewards and sanctions system. He was quick to mention the rewards, but he found it very difficult to mention the sanctions. And in any system, you need to be very transparent, and transparent in all aspects. There should be transparency in the targets, there should be transparency in the reward system, there should be transparency in the sanctions. Again, I would have loved him to throw more light on why the reward being a trip to France. What is particular about France, and what does it do to the person who has excelled, and what does it do? Does it translate to good public services to the average Ghanaian? I may want them to take into consideration 3 things, and I didn't hear him mentioning it. Maybe it has been subsumed under any of the 3 thematic areas. The first one, under Article 286 of the Constitution, public officers such as chief directors are expected to declare and disclose all their assets. Is this factored in the appraisal process? We need to know. The second bit had to do with some of them meddle into politics, but they are supposed to be technocrats and professionals who should support politicians to achieve their political objective. Some of them meddle into it. Are you going to assess these areas of theirs? What has happened in the past year? What happened to chief directors who are on retirement but are on contracts? What sort of appraisal are you going to give to them? You ask an interesting question, which is very curious to me. What is the basis for chief director performance comparison? Once these bases are not very clear to the average Ghanaian, you allow people to read meanings into it. If a chief director is moved from one ministry to the other, then somebody will read some other meaning to it aside performance. So they need to improve the process. And I know they have a new head of service who may want to improve the processes. This advice goes to the head of service. He should make sure that in future, declaration of assets becomes part of the assessment procedure. Aside that, their involvement in meddling in politics, some of the chief directors do that. Instead of doing technical work, they meddle into party politics, which is not good for service delivery, because it is a long-standing ethical practice for the civil service to be politically neutral. But what have we seen? In recent times, you see some of them doing politics. So you need to assess these bits. So in all, I think it's a good initiative. We should continue with that.
Well, some have said, looking at the team that is going to do it, it says the evaluation will be executed by a 3-member team with a wealth of knowledge and experience in public sector management. They are Dr. Robert Dodu, the chairman of the Civil Service Council, Dr. Lawrence Kanai, the vice chairman of the Public Services Commission, and Mr. Edwin P.D. Barnes, a retired chief director and public sector consultant. Some are thinking it should have been given to an independent human resource agency, and that with these people there could be government interference. Do you think so?
Well, they represent institutions, as I see, except for the private sector operator. I would agree with them, with those who are of the view that we should give it to a private agency. We have Institute of Human Resource Management and Practitioners, Ghana. This is an independent institution. We could have given it to them. Again, we should find a way of getting it into our laws. And I am disappointed that there is no woman represented on the team, because some of the chief directors are women. So if you have a team going to appraise chief directors and we don't have any woman as part of the team, are we giving true meaning to gender mainstreaming? So for me, I think I will agree with those who said the appraisal process should be given to an independent body or an independent institution to do that on an annual basis, so that the feedback and the results will be more acceptable to the parties involved than giving it to these people who are former chief directors and other people operating within the sector.
Okay, so moving forward, what do you think we should do?
Moving forward, I think that we should mainstream the system. We should put it under our law, the Civil Service Law or the Public Services Commission law. This independent assessment institution must be established. The membership must be properly clarified. Women must be involved. We should concentrate on the 3 areas I mentioned. The indicators must be transparent, it must be opened, it must be circulated to the media houses ahead of time at the beginning of the year. Then at the end of the year, they should do the appraisal. The appraisal results must also be published. It must be very transparent. Their position when it comes to meddling into party politics must also be a part of the assessment process. And then again, asset declaration. That bit is very important to me, because we end up focusing on the politicians to declare and disclose their assets. What happened to these technocrats who are mandated and required under Article 286 to disclose these things? They need to look at it and then make sure that midterm reviews are conducted They should never slip the midterm review process.
All right. Thank you very much. My guest in the studio, Eric Odro-Osai, who is the local government expert, sharing his thoughts about an appraisal exercise that is taking place at the Office of the Civil Service. From it began yesterday and it will go on till the 13th of March. He has lauded the initiative but says it needs to be more transparent to the media and the public. This is Midday Live.